Let's talk about those different areas, and I'm going to focus today's presentation around the IoT side, which is smart connected products and smart connected operations. Smart connected people, we're really looking at that from the AR side, which we'll cover off in our later webinars. Okay, so on the smart connected product side of things, all right. So really, there's big changes in the way that the value chain is out there. So traditional manufacturing chain, you've got your organization, all of your departments, engineering, R&D, service, operations, product management, sales, and then you produce a product and you sell that to an end customer. Okay, so the end customer, in this case, there might be a plant, they've got their sort of maintenance, their site management, their operations, how they work, and your product fits into that. Okay, but there's some problems with that scenario, right? And they're really about connectivity. So, what the customer's doing with your product, how are they working with that? You don't really have visibility of that. The systems were never created to enable that to happen. Once the product goes out the door, you don't really know how it's being used. If it's being used, maybe it comes back for an annual service, and that's the first time you find out what's going on with it. Okay, or maybe when the customer calls up to complain that something's wrong with your product. Okay, so the idea of making a product smart and connected is that you get to tie together all of that. Okay, so you can connect it from your business chain to the customer's chain as well. So suddenly you can understand, from your side, what features are being used, from the operations side, what capacity is being used, from the sales side, they can see maybe what the requirements are, if they're running, what capacity they're running at. R&D can test and validate that sort of thing. The service side is really a huge focus for connected products, is really getting a better understanding of where the product's being used, how often it's being used, does it need a service early, can we extend out the service interval, and operations gets information around real-time data plan for spare parts or consumables, things like that. Okay, so there's huge value to the OEM who makes that, and also the customer, the end user. They can understand what's happening with their product usage, get better visibility of that, understand when they're likely to have downtime, all of those benefits as well. Okay, and this isn't standing still, right? So Capgemini had a look at this back in 2018. Okay, looking at a survey around what are manufacturers looking to do with relation to smart connected products over the next 3 years, and we're obviously well into that time frame now. And looking at this, you can see that the vast majority were indicating that they were looking to continue to looking at moving into this sort of connected strategy. So whether that was sell products as additional services, or stop selling products and work to a service-based business. Okay, it's at that big focus on how do we do service. Okay, so in terms of that, let's talk about the solutions that we can present in that space. So really, there's sort of 3 main parts. So the first one is around product intelligence. So really around connectivity. And then once you've got that connectivity, how can we either raise revenue or reduce costs? Okay, so the core of that is product intelligence, right? Providing connectivity, visibility, alarms, alerting, remote assistance, a whole bunch of other functionality to that product out there in the field. Okay, and then from that we can then look at things like service optimization. Okay, so things like remote service. So understanding what's happening, resolving issues without having to dispatch service people out into the field, or maybe customers can self-service that so they can understand better what's happening. And when you do need to send somebody out there into the field, making sure that your field techs are basically performing as efficiently as they can. They're not wasting time on site, so they can be much more efficient while they're out there. On the product innovation side of things, then we're looking at data-driven design. So understanding how are our products being used by our customers, so then we can develop better products to meet those needs. There are assumptions made when we design these things. Have we made the wrong assumptions? Is there a market maybe for a particular product that fits into a niche that some of our customers are working in? So to better understand that. Or, this connected revenue model. So to better understand, what are the customers using? Can we offer more? It might be in terms of consumables, really moving into those sort of product as a service business models that more and more customers are moving into. So that was really what was happening out there. We see that with a lot of our customers. They're looking at these things around, service profitability, reducing cost and increasing customer satisfaction, making time on site more productive, validate product design, grow sales, offer new business models. Okay, so this has been happening for quite a long time now. This isn't something that's new. Obviously, some people are further along there than others, but obviously what's happened is COVID, right? So COVID has really had a big impact on that, the ability to service and support products in particular. Okay, so your service techs can't travel anymore, be that interstate. If you're in Victoria, like Paul and I are, they potentially, there's troubles around traveling even into the office, right? Getting into customer sites. So you've got these issues around travel and access. There's obviously the big concern around safety. The numbers looking very good in Australia now, but overseas that's still big problems. Okay, and then there's also around service revenue. A lot of companies have delayed or put off doing these things while the pandemic has been raging until they're waiting for things to calm down. Okay, so really that leads to specific challenges that can be grouped into, things like your short term, like what can you do right now in the short term to help deal with the problems. In the medium term, it's what we can when we get back to the new normal, the COVID normal, and then how do we really establish something to thrive into the future in the long term once things have settled down. Okay, so in the short term, the big one is obviously health and safety, making sure that everyone's staying safe and not catching COVID. Okay, but with that in mind, it's getting connected, your equipment connected, so you can understand how it's being used, because you can't go out there anymore. So you can deliver support is really critical. Okay, so if you're looking at making it more comfortable for your customers to do their own service, that can definitely help as well. You can shorten the time to repair and downtime, and really keep your customers happy and running. Okay, so really the solutions that we're offering here are around being able to do that. Okay, so getting better product visibility, so you can connect and monitor that, and that's what we're going to be looking at today with the IoT side of things. Or remotely support customers in self-service, which is really around providing that remote assistance, which AI helps, which we'll talk about in our following webinars. What are customers seeing from this, rolling out the solutions that we offer? We're looking at things like 20 to 70% of issues resolved remotely without having to go and visit on site. Okay, and this is the reason why companies were already going down this path of digital transformation. Okay, but COVID has really accelerated that. So the companies that were further down that path when the pandemic began are seeing much better results out of that. 90% reduction on-site software updates. Okay, so the ability to connect into your products remotely, to maintain them, to service them, to understand them, has been a huge benefit to customers that were already doing that as the pandemic hit. All right. But in the medium term, we're, particularly in Australia, things are looking quite good, fingers crossed. So obviously we will move into a more sort of a COVID normal state. So there are still challenges around that. So we still want to keep everyone safe. Okay, we still want to keep our connectivity going so that we can still continue to remotely monitor our products that are out there. We can address our customer issues. So obviously this isn't the last time this is going to happen in terms of reduced access, and really the new normal is to keep working in that way. Okay, so once we've got that connectivity, we really want to then look at getting back to improving our service profitability. Okay, so that's continuing on with this remote service, helping customers do that self-service, and really making sure our technicians are as efficient as they possibly can be. Moving into the longer term, connectivity gives a chance to address some of those other challenges. So we can look at once customers are back on their feet, they might have things around they're not confident to take on big capital spending. Maybe they don't want to spend lots of money. There's a lot of obviously uncertainty around things. So, being able to offer them a different business arrangement through this connectivity, such as product as a service, to make you more profitable and help them reduce their capital expenditure costs. Okay. If we look at product design teams, then we can have real-time data on how your gear is being used, what features and functions are your customers using, what do they need, what shortcomings do you might have, where then you can start to really take out that guesswork around your product design and really build something that you know for sure customers are going to be looking at. Okay, and then start to look at how you're doing your field service delivery. Okay, so connectivity allows you to be less reliant on technicians. They're going out there. You can understand the problem before you go out there. In some cases, customers are reporting they can, manufacturers are saying we understand the problem before the customer even calls us up to complain about it. Okay, which is a huge benefit. If you can fix that, keep your customer happy, keep them running, that obviously keeps everyone happy. Right? So really, by doing all of these things, you're answering those challenges and make sure that you've got a sustainable competitive advantage, okay, to help you long into the future. So, an example of a company that's doing this. So this is Bell and Howell. They make all kinds of service equipment for customers across lots of different industries. The picture you're seeing here is actually it's a storage locker that gets used in stores around the US for storing, the sort of click and collect delivery. So Bell and Howell is looking at how that, they've got loads and loads of assets out there in the field that they need to understand what's going on with them. Okay, so the customers are there's more demand. The OEM service partners, they're looking to optimize their service capabilities and do all that at a lower cost. Okay, so they rolled out a service optimization strategy that was being powered by ThingWorx. And these are the kinds of numbers that you're looking at here, right? So reducing paperwork or troubleshooting time cut by full hour per call. Right, 63% of service calls fixed remotely, 60% reduction in repair time, 47% reduction in product maintenance frequency and duration. Okay, so these are huge numbers, and if you look at that across 30,000 industrial assets out there in the field, these are massive, massive numbers. Okay, so these are the benefits that companies like Bell and Howell are seeing, and they've talked about this at PTC events around how great this has been for their business.